So what this does is it takes the modern pyramidal form and takes it from its simplest common denominator, meaning like the Egyptian pyramid for its time was the simplest bit of information that life force could recognize. This is my understanding. So that doesn't mean that the Egyptian pyramid couldn't have been successfully expanded upon during that time. So in the same thought, the modern pyramid for our time would look like a very fast-looking Egyptian pyramid, meaning it would be more peaked on the top. But eventually, as in any kind of a language, you can add more bits of information to the language. So what you have here is something that looks nothing like, say, a regular pyramid, but something quite different. But it's still in the basic outline, like the skeleton is all based on modern pyramidal form. Now the inside of it is once again tubing that because of each tube's relationship to its frequency is able to extract certain types of frequency from the life force library, and then the top part is what projects it out from the bottom pyramidal form. So basically it's a pyramid with a laser on top of it.
And is that laser meant to be pointed towards something? Or does it just emit into the atmosphere?
Right now it's just out into the atmosphere. And the interesting thing about this is this was the first obvious object that I was able to conclude was actually navigating a multiverse. There's a frequency about it that is not entirely of this universe, say, but it's simultaneously surfing more than one universe. So what it's doing is it's putting out a positive suggestion for the rest of, say, the participants in the universe to follow suit. The length, say, but the crystals involved. So in the base of this one, there's a very nice rose quartz egg. And in the base of this one, there's a big crystal. And then this is an amethyst, a cut amethyst in the top of the masculine side. And then in the base here is a large tabby.
Could you reference again the male and female aspects of this?
This is the masculine side here, and this is the feminine side here. Left side feminine, right side masculine.
What about the structure below? Is it just, it's a mirror? It looks to be very similar.
Yeah, each side is exactly the same. Relative exact. And you'll see there's a certain amount of green paint on the structure, and that is, for instance, like the struts here, for instance, are painted, and these are not. This is old enough that it's gotten a green patina. The reason for the paint is because I wanted to create a resistor on the metal so it wouldn't be so much active as part of the equation. Because if you're trying to, say, engage with something like life force, you need to be pretty precise in the kind of language you're using. You can't have a lot of white noise in it. So a way of, say, having the structure retain its shape by all the struts, and then, say, basically erasing them in the equation is to put a resistant paint over it, so that, say, a life force which is mostly attracted to conductors wouldn't see it so much.
Is that
Well,
if there is,
what I really understand about the whole multiverse relationship is that a universe by itself can't exist the same way as a particle by itself can't exist, and that particles actually exchange parts between the multiverses all the time. And so that there's a symbiosis between the multiverses that occurs every second of every day. So if you were to say, look at the tip of your finger and observe very closely an electron there, if you could, you would notice that it was not the same electron all the time, that it was actually many, many electrons being exchanged at a very high speed of rate of speed. So high that, in fact, it appears to be still. So that's why when we think of matter as being static or semi-static, it's anything but.
How many multiverses have you traversed, or how many multiverses have you managed to reside in?
I would say in none consciously, because there's an inherent problem with the human being in that we carry so much story that even though the multiverses exist right here, we pretty much disable ourselves from navigating them because of what we know we can't do. That is part of my research with the evolution of matter, in that simple types of matter can navigate to a multiverse with ease because they don't have the story or the limitations. The furthest extent of my, say, travels into an expanded universe were basically gifted to me by a coconut palm one time when I was in Hawaii. And what I noticed is that the coconut palm had a wider range of awareness of the universe than any other being that I'd ever met. And that it showed me that there's amazing intelligence, certainly within the coconut palm family, but also within the other kingdoms of what we call simpler matter. And the thing that was amazing about this coconut palm, it was only a little 6-foot palm, and it was on an island called Coconut Island in Hilo Bay, and kids would come up and they would peel the fronds off and really kind of abuse it. And so you'd think that maybe this was a pretty tortured little creature, but in fact it was so amazingly happy to be doing exactly what it was doing. It was fulfilling its role, say, in the big scheme of things, and it was the most serene, joyous, and expanded consciousness that I've ever met or even read about in potential and science fiction.
And so, what can you say about us fulfilling? Do we all have the same roles?
I would think so, because I don't believe that there's any chaos in the universe, and so therefore everything has a function and a role and such like that. The nature of the time now is that the plant kingdom and the natural kingdom has exceeded the rate of growth faster than humans. I've seen certain species of plants to advance their consciousness perhaps 1,000,000 times faster than a human being, even though they may have a lower degree of consciousness per se, that they're able to, say, come from a baseline of consciousness into a much higher level of consciousness in a very quick amount of time. So therefore they're expanding faster in consciousness than we are. In comparison, we're way in the back of the bus as far as speed of advancement. The beauty of it is that the plant kingdom, the mineral kingdoms, the natural kingdoms of nature now are the educators to us, where before it was kind of the other way around. Because of the exploration of simple matter, so to speak, into regions that we can't navigate right now for the other reasons that I said, because of our own limitation, they in turn are the educators to help us accelerate into a, say, multiverse navigation potential.
Talking about the or we were talking about traversing the various toroids so that you can map that one, or you can traverse that whole torus, and that's still just one universe. How does multidimensionality work?
Actually, the single, the misnomer is that toroid is, it appears to be a universe, but is one single part of a huge number of toroids that represent the bigger universe. Eventually, there comes a point where all travel within that extended universe is exhausted, and then the next step is to actually start to traverse multiverses, which are simultaneously occurring universes that occupy the same XYZ coordinate. So in theory, there are billions of multiverses simultaneously occurring right here, right now. Anyway, the bigger picture is that this is not the bigger picture, it's the small picture. No matter where we are, where we are looking at, even if we look at, say, a single toroid as being an unimaginably huge space, and then once you've traversed that, there are potentially billions or trillions others who simply create yet another model of what we would consider to be the large universe. That in turn just opens up the exploration into the multiverse potential. And then after that, obviously, there will be another step as well, but I don't know about that.